To understand how the most dominant dynasty in college basketball history was built, you have to start with a man who actively loathed its city, a strict Depression-era farm boy who brought a 19th-century moral code into modern Hollywood. In 1948, UCLA basketball was a program in total disarray. The team was riding a 39-game losing streak against their crosstown rival USC and played their home games in a cramped third-floor room known as the BO Barn. They shared the space with the wrestling and gymnastics squads, leaving the court caked in rosin dust and the air thick with unventilated sweat. John Wooden grew up on a 60-acre farm in rural Indiana, a world defined by the rhythms of the harvest and the strict moral leadership of his father. Life was hardscrabble and sparse, centering on a simple creed: never lie, never cheat, and never steal. When Wooden drove his family west to take the UCLA job, the culture shock was physical. The chaotic traffic on the Pasadena freeway terrified him. To a man raised on quiet country roads, Los Angeles felt fast, reckless, and dangerously unmoored. He only ended up in California because of a weather-related fluke. Wooden actually preferred an offer from the University of Minnesota, but a blizzard knocked out the phone lines in the Twin Cities. When Minnesota couldn't reach him, he gave his word to UCLA. And where he came from, a man's word was final. He arrived in Westwood as an outsider, an austere figure carrying an outdated Indiana blueprint to fix a broken system in a city he didn't want to live in. While mid-century Los Angeles was embracing a loose, expansive culture, Wooden was busy locking down his locker room. He didn't adapt to the city. He forced his players to submit to his obsessive micromanagement, dictating everything from their grooming to the way they spoke. This discipline started with the players' feet. Wooden would demonstrate the exact way he wanted them to put on their socks, sliding the fabric over the toe and pulling it tight to smooth out the heel. In his view, a single wrinkle caused a blister, and a blister could cost a team a game. Practices were run like a military drill. Wooden planned every session to the minute, utilizing 5 to 10-minute blocks to keep intensity high and eliminate wasted time. If a player made a mistake, Wooden corrected them in short, crisp commands before blowing the whistle for the next drill. This is a geometric visualization of Wooden's pyramid of success. The foundational blocks are built on abstract virtues like industriousness and enthusiasm, rather than physical basketball skills. Wooden used these rules to instill 19th-century Victorian character, aiming to develop the whole man through the medium of sport. However, this rigid moral structure produced a highly effective tactical advantage. Because his players were so strictly conditioned and drilled in the basics, they could sustain a relentless, high-speed system known as the fast break. Wooden's obsession with strict discipline and moral purity had an ironic result. It created the exact kind of fast-paced, high-energy entertainment that modern Los Angeles craved. This was happening against the backdrop of a massive macroeconomic explosion. Post-war California was booming, driven by billions in federal defense contracts and a surge of families moving into sprawling new suburban neighborhoods. As the population swelled, UCLA's administration looked to establish a national reputation. They wanted to move away from their status as a branch of Berkeley, and they realized a winning athletic product was the fastest way to elevate the university's brand. While other major programs in the 1950s still adhered to unwritten racist quotas, Wooden simply applied his Indiana farm values to recruiting. He prioritized character and competence over the social norms of the era, largely ignoring the color line that held back his rivals. In 1954, Wooden started 3 black players, Willie Knowles, Morris Taft, and John Moore, creating a powerhouse team years before most of the country followed suit. This integrated, fast-paced team perfectly aligned with the progressive, cosmopolitan image UCLA wanted to project. The Bruins were becoming a symbol of a modern, forward-thinking California. Wooden's colorblind pursuit of character provided the institutional spark UCLA needed. By the mid-1960s, the provincial commuter school had become a highly marketable cultural phenomenon. But the system worked too well. Wooden's winning record attracted the attention of university administrators who saw a chance to turn his amateur program into something much larger and much more commercial. Chancellor Franklin Murphy and athletic director J.D. Mergen began weaponizing Wooden's success. They professionalized the recruiting process and marketed the team's record to donors, turning the basketball program into a multi-million-dollar institutional brand. To house this new spectacle, the university secured oil money and student fees to build the 13,000-seat Pauley Pavilion. It was a monument to the team's success, but it also represented a scale of commerce that Wooden's small-town values never anticipated. This corporatization eventually led to a secret booster scandal. High-ranking alumni were handing players envelopes of cash as a reward for grabbing rebounds, a direct violation of the amateur rules Wooden leaked by. When Wooden discovered the payments, his reaction was one of pure disgust. He shut the system down immediately, fighting to preserve the integrity of the game against the very commercial forces his winning record had unleashed. John Wooden never abandoned the simple farm values he brought from Indiana. But by sticking to them, he built the most successful blueprint in sports history, birthing a hyper-commercialized empire that stood in direct opposition to the man who created it.